Somewhere. He's just checked. He's doing it in the other office. But it's okay. All right. So meeting reconvened at 13:25. Well done, councillors. We're out and back and had lunch and all ready to roll in less than an hour. Excellent. Now, we will leave 353 for Sarmad's return after his lunch break, and so we'll go to 354, the annual operational plan leads. Now there are no CIs on this. That is page 117 of the agenda.
115.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's done.
The start of the actual report, the bit that matters, is 117. So,
This is the new operation plan.
yeah, we're not reviewing anything here. This is start again.
This has to be done in cooperation with the budget because we had some shortages with Brett wanting to take a long holiday, which was great. And some of this was a chance to bring everyone back together and be in front of council. So this is council's opportunity to set some parameters, what you'd like us to do, when you'd like us to do it, and this is open for discussion.
So the corporate plan strategy is obviously drawn from our new corporate plan we adopted last year. The actions are what we've, in budget, especially in capital stuff, is what we've budgeted to do. And yeah, the rest of it obviously speaks for itself. But that's where this information has been drawn from. Now, some of it obviously is of an operational budget. For example, if I was to roll down to 1.4, continued, there is an upgrade required, but there will be in other communities the continued provision of television and radio. So that's an operational thing in that we haven't had to allocate any money. So it'll have overlap between capital upgrades, special operating, and just standard operating. At your leisure, do you want to go through it line by line?
Just like it start. When all the executive team, the managers got together, we looked at the corporate plan strategies. The first one was obviously the one that I looked at and thought, I'd like to see some guidance from council for our staff so we can respond. And it talks about attracting private government investment, health emergency services, and the question I asked was, have we done any work in that place or that space at this point? So the question I asked was, would council like us to develop some form of prospectus as an attraction to get some investment into the community? That's something council would like to see.
Very interesting. Don't we already have prospectus? We did that through with Morgan. It's on our website, isn't it?
Do you, Mr Mayor, Councillor Rogers, is that the toward 2030?
It's the one that, it's the information for people wanting to invest in our region, like telling them what all the industries are.
So this would be, so this is like, so Rapid did that bit on, Invest the West, and we did a subsidiary piece back in 2020. Some of that's happened, some of that's not relevant. That probably needs updating rapidly because it's 2 or 3 years old. But it probably, that one, sorry, Shelley?
I'm just going to find out.
No, not that one. That's the more generic corporate plan type 2030. There was about 5 strategies in the.
No.
So that was back in 2020.
I don't think that's the one either, Brett. There's another one.
The question asked, is it time to refresh, do something new?
Yeah.
Probably could stay.
Tourism, agriculture, heavy industry,
Business and community.
aerial vehicles and energy.
Yeah, that's the one. Is that what you were looking at before, Brett? Sorry, I just didn't recognise that page. That's the one. Yep.
So a few pages, 4 pages.
Whole page.
So
Yeah, that one.
There's-
Investment prospectus.
I think there's probably, the other thing to look at is, on top of individual industries, is existing industries and more investments that may value add them. So I think there's definitely a bit of a need to perhaps focus our attention on.
I think
Like the aerial vehicles thing has been dropped almost completely.
I think this was referring to
We are visiting taxi.
the one that Bullia did with Sue McCosker from
Yeah.
Department of State Development, and then each council is going to follow through with their template and create a new prospectus.
That had a bit more detail in it around what council's investment was as well, because it was so if council had foreshadowed its roadworks, it could be a civil constructor think, well, I might open a road base of operations here because council's forward program of works is going to have this. If I'm a carpenter, and some of these things are not relevant to necessarily every town, but might be to some towns, and some councils even. So yeah, that one that we went to down that Blackwell, was it, mate? And they pitched that, and it was the bit that they did for Bullia was very good.
So we're looking at like making a little bit more information for people as like what we ourselves, what work we've actually got available within the council, like in the near future.
Yeah, both, like if we're aware of significant, say the Breeze, right? If it was going to kick off, it would form a centrepiece because we would be able to show people what large-scale investment opportunities are coming and what job opportunities or investment opportunities are linked to that. The same as if councils foreshadowed that they were going to build a new $100 million administration facility, well, there'd be room for cabinet makers and builders and, Yeah, so it's providing an opportunity for both the private sector and the government sector expenditure or programs to be outlined in a document that then guides external investment decisions.
It's for council to make it themselves.
And themselves, yes. Correct.
But the fact that there's already one there, we can either refresh that or we can put a new piece of work. It's council's directive.
Okay, further?
I guess the reason we changed slightly is that as a council, you want to see our KPIs and how we're progressing throughout the year, throughout the quarters. So that gives us a chance to set your reporting timelines that you'd like to see.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, is there an issue with receiving it now and adopting it next month, just to give us a bit more time to, is it?
But we can amend this throughout the year, so each quarter you can have an amendment, if you want an amendment.
Now, I do like the idea of putting quarters or some sort of timeframes in the KPIs.
I don't think there's a problem either way with what you're suggesting. However, if we implemented it with some direction, unless we thought it was wrong, and then refined the timeframes in the next meeting, that might just give a little bit of clarity that the operational plan is right.
Right.
And we're just refining our reporting timeframes because there's some big projects that would be good if we didn't have held off a month.
For a month, yeah, right.
It means I can report on it next quarter to say where we're going with it.
Okay, so through you, Mr. Mayor, or a couple of queries I have, there's a few in, say, 3.3 and 3.4, we don't have a KPI.
3.2 and 3.4.
3.3 and 3.4, maintain airstrip evacuation for our evacuation purposes, like develop road and footpath design, because that's one of this year's as well that we didn't do too much on, that 3.4.
I guess the reason we didn't put one in was because we're not really sure how we'd report that one to you at this point in time, or what you'd like to see.
Well, I guess I can see, and so part of that is how frequently would we, I know we don't have an asset management plan yet, but what's the current inspection for a condition assessment? Annually? Semi-annually?
I think it's pretty much ad hoc.
I think it's, no, a formal condition assessment, I think it's probably engaged someone to do it, and it's been done, I recall, at least once in the last 12 months, but prior to my time here at council. What senior work supervisors are doing is maintenance assessments, but I don't think we've formalised that as condition assessments from an assets perspective, Mr. Mayor.
Mr Mayor, we do, Alpha and Barcaldine airstrips have to have a technical inspection every 12 months, and he's here this week doing the inspector. CASA also comes out and does a random inspection, and then we, between Jericho, Aramac and Muttaburra, we rotate the inspections. So they're doing Aramac today.
So that's done once every 2 years? Or 3?
Aramac,
No, the ones that you rotate.
every 2 years.
So the key performance indicator could be an Alpha and Barcaldine annual inspection.
Yep.
Right, that's one. Alpha Barcaldine annual.
I think the other airstrips are biannual.
And this year, is it only Aramac, not Jericho and Muttaburra?
Only Aramac.
Right, so Aramac,
And it provides a report to council. We get externals to do that, or do we do it ourselves?
Yeah, it's just go.
that would come
It's
through,
an inspector. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got to be for qualified.
but it'd come through to us through the Director of Works or CEO or
It's
anybody.
an operational.
But you want it reported on, so.
Well, especially like, for example, we knew and deferred the cross strip reseal here, for example, because it was imperative. So if there's the same thing being flagged, if a condition assessment says it's okay for another 12 months, but it'll need resealing, then that falls into, okay, the 24/5 or 25/6, we're going to have to budget X amount of money to seal or look for the money, would be more appropriate for an airstrip, get someone else to fund this reseal of. So Aramac report.
But the airport reporting officers should be inspecting airstrips on a regular basis.
How regular?
Well, for Barcaldine, it's 3 times a week.
He doesn't have
At
to
least,
respond as a
every time. RPT. Des does it regularly. I'm not sure whether it's just weekly in Alpha.
So that's operational. I think from a strategic point of view, we know that there's an annual inspection for Alpha and Barcaldine and Aramac this year. Next year, the report would say if it's a condition assessment, like if there's a failure, that'll be detected through operational standards that are set by others. We're looking at strategically when it will need capital investment. Aramac report what?
So you want reporting and monitoring every 6 months, and what's happened during that 6 months?
If we're seeing the strategic review, I think we could probably see the operational stuff on a if required basis. If there's no problem, nothing's, like if they do that, if Terry's doing his, whoever, the asset inspection's happening every time a plane lands and there's no issue, the last thing we want to do is make a report for somebody, in my mind, to say there's no, report on the fact there's no issue. But if there's an issue, then that's reported through, I don't care who the district manager or the director of works.
So you just want to maintain regular reporting?
Oh, through you, Mr Mayor. Look, if the area is maintained airstrip for evacuation purposes, then is the KPI
The key is that we
no
make sure we're
non-scheduled
compliant.
closures that affect an evacuation? Like, is that too simple, or is that?
Just maintain compliance. Because that one's specifically for evacuations, but the condition assessment goes for everything.
It's probably more than evacuation, but that's what the corporate plan says, I know, but I would hate to see where our strip is closed here in Buckle and stopping a commercial service as well. It's probably not as important, but it's only not far behind a medical evacuation. Maybe we didn't set a high enough standard when we set the corporate plan there, so. Yeah, I haven't put anything in that box though, I was only looking at the, oh yes I did, I put it in the wrong area. So your suggestion there, councillor Arthur, is to just keep a
I
performance
just,
indicator?
if it's in the plan and we've got an area for a KPI, like if we don't set the KPI, then how do we hit it? Like if we have nothing in there, other than not having any problem if we need an airstrip for an evacuation, and then retrospectively going, we didn't quite hit our KPIs, which we don't have.
Right, so the simple KPI could be no lack of availability.
No unscheduled closures that affect an evacuation or.
Well, no, even a
Because-
scheduled, but even a scheduled closure would fail that. If the airstrip's required, you know, so to me, like we've got to maintain it in such a way or undertake it that a scheduled closure doesn't occur. In such a way that it would prevent an emergency evacuation. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you can maintain our strategy there and your asset at the same time. Like if we're going to do a reseal, the strip is unavailable for a period of time, is it not?
Or is there a certain area that you could still use?
Well,
Yes.
possibly.
No, your strip is going to be fit for purpose within sort of a day after they finish rolling.
We'd be technically non-conformant though with our annual plan if we resealed it and 6 minutes later someone had a prang and we wanted to use it. We wouldn't have maintained, like, you know what I mean? We set a standard that's impossible to maintain.
Yeah.
We cannot guarantee, no airstrip in the world can guarantee 365, unless you've got two runways, 365 days of the year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week access, because that would mean you can never do maintenance.
So we'll look at regular reporting on compliance and then update to say we've had no issues or and whether we're going to trigger a change. This is about reporting back to council about how operations are going. So hard on the KPI. You don't have to make a decision right now, you can bring it back to
Yeah.
Next one, we actually go and do footpath inspections as part of our insurance program. We need to be doing that. That'll be ongoing.
I think I've asked about it previously. Do we need our own? Like, or is there not generic IP ones or,
For our design standards.
yeah. Because if we don't have road and footpath design standards, how are we building roads and footpaths currently?
Assuming we're outsourcing, aren't we? The standards.
Yeah, there's
design.
Australian design standards, which we use.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that
That's what I mean, like, do we need
means.
additional design standards or?
Has council got the accepted standards?
So I can tell you what that means, but it's not how it's being interpreted for the
That's-
purpose of this discussion.
Yeah.
What it meant was, when we developed the corporate plan, how wide do we want the streets? How wide do we want footpaths? That's not a design standard, that's a political choice. Then how you construct that is to a design standard. That strategy was, do we want 1,200 wide footpaths? Do we want 6 metre seals, 8 metre seals, 20 metre seals? Do we want curb and channeling? Do we want centre of the street garden beds? That's what that was supposed to be, so we could have a approach to reduce the whole of life costs. You know, don't put a garden bed in the middle of Richmond Road so you don't end up with soakage underneath it and destroying the surface and spending $1 million to fix it 6 months after you're finished. That's what that was driven by.
That does ring a bell now that you say that, Mr Mayor.
The action that's been identified for this year is linked, and I'm not suggesting it's wrong, but just bear in mind that it's a very small part in that it's probably not linked actually. We do regularly review the footpaths, of course we do, and sometimes it's customer complaint driven, other times it's just a review.
Should be referenced in your new town plan too.
I think that is
Design standards in the town plan.
probably more relevant somewhere else though. Because the outcome, once again, is a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, so the reason these are in here, it's always been in your corporate plan strategy, so we.
So really, that fits with the next box better. So a second action underneath maintaining and upgrading would be to regularly review footpaths for conditions. Would be a second project or a second action for 22-3. And really developing road and footpath design standards for townships, that's a whole different project. That's looking at what is the design that, and it's not only town, like, you know, rural road design. If we're sealing a rural road, are we putting down 4, 6 or 8 metre seals? Are we putting concrete or stone crossings on black soil roads? That's what that's really geared towards. So I would suggest that that's not something that council's talked about achieving in this 12-month period. The corporate plan doesn't have to be achieved every year. You've got 5 years to do it all. So unless you want to pull that on, you can probably drop 3-4 and add the action from it to 3-5. I'm not sure how the outcome links there. Reporting timeframes are meant to ensure compliance with standards. It's probably that the outcome if you regularly review is that once or twice a year, council's informed of areas of concern within our footpath network and any actions that have been taken to address, you know what I mean?
Well, the outcome would be council agrees to a set of designs, standard
That's for the strategy.
3.4.
Yeah, well, I'm suggesting delete that this year because we're not going to get it done. But the regularly review our footpath conditions goes down into the maintaining transport infrastructure.
Yeah.
The outcome though should be changed to council's, the reporting time frame once or twice a year to advise council on issues of concern with footpath network.
Yep.
And any outcomes.
So we've got that, we'll give a report in end of Q2, so end of the year. So I'll incorporate that, and we'll get further direction after that. Legal.
3.5, Mr Mayor.
So, sorry.
Have you finished it?
Yeah, oh, well, I think so. We've added 3.5.
3.5's got the footpaths added to it.
Yeah, I just want to review and report on road network conditions.
Mhm.
I don't think that's happening. And I'm getting some complaints about roads that you and I drove last time you and I went for that drive, Mr Mayor, the Stagmount Road in particular. There's been work done on it and I think it's just not up to scratch. They pulled the black soil over on top of it. So, you know, I think we need more regular inspections of our roads. And then we need some sort of plan or program of how we're going to improve them. You know, we're going to put gravel on them, or what we're going to do. Because the reports I'm getting back at the moment is that Stagmount Road's, after we've worked on it, it's a bigger mess than it was.
So what would you propose different to review and report on road network conditions? That might, if you suggested it's not happening, but do you want to?
Well, even just a word in there like regularly.
Yeah, so that comes over as a key performance indicator. How often do you want to see that?
Well, it's hard with a road because they need to be checked after rain for a start, so you can't predict. They've got to have someone's got to run them after a rain event.
You've got to collate it and do it as part of your quarterly review, how it's progressing with the reporting you're getting month by month.
Yeah.
There's probably a difference in though a road condition, like as opposed to checking on work that we've done. They're two different issues. One's quality control for a start, and the other one's just.
One's looking for what's required, and the other's looking at what's been done.
So the key performance indicator is that we would see a works maintenance and capital planning report, which is, maintenance that's scheduled coming up, what's required, gravel, like that's your words.
Yeah.
But that's what's written there already to be reported to us after the second quarter. So that's condition assessment. But if you're looking at, I'm just not sure where you want to go with this.
My information is the roads aren't getting inspected either, Mr. Mayor.
That could be a failure to comply with this though.
Well, you've got to review and report on road network conditions.
And it's not happening.
It's not happening.
That's right, but that doesn't mean that you change what's written here, you just change what someone actually does, or you fail when you measure the KPI every quarter.
Okay.
So if we get to the end of the first quarter and everything comes back green lights, and you can go, well, I disagree.
Right.
I think it's a red light. I don't think they are being reviewed, or if they are, we're not getting a report that says these roads are no good, we haven't got the time to fix them, but be advised that those roads are in a bad condition.
All right.
Because that's what I think we should be getting. I don't think we should have to wait until 64 people that live on a road ring us and tell us that the road's destroyed. I acknowledge that the biggest way to stop that is to get out in front of it and say we know that road's in a bad state, but unfortunately our assets are committed elsewhere. We're struggling to get it into the schedule. We will as soon as we can, but I've never in 6 years, I've said nearly 7 years on council, ever seen that once. Inevitably, we pick up the phone and ring them back and say we've raised it at the council meeting. I hope something can be done. Sorry.
Should we have that just instead of Q2, just every quarter?
Well, that is referring to a planning piece of work and a new maintenance schedule that the Director of Works is intending to develop. So it's a specific piece of work that he needs until the end of December.
Yeah.
Once we get to Q2, then they become regular.
What you're referring to is a different issue. I think we can leave that KPI in there, but yes, there could be regular quarterly road reports. But
Where would we put that in though?
as a second KPI under the same
Just
item.
the same, yeah, that's,
No, I agree with Councillor Rogers there,
Yeah. So I don't want to see that amended too much because that's a specific piece of work the Director of Works has had on his agenda for some time. That's his goal, is to get us a maintenance and upgrade planning report. Let him work towards that on the time frame. You're happy with Q2 still?
Yeah.
But the issue that councillors are grumbling about a little bit here, including myself, is ongoing condition reporting. So you want to see a quarterly condition report for our road network.
That'll be good. But also, we probably need, Mr. Mayor, and I don't know how you want to word this or change it, is that we need some sort of program that says, well, this is what we're going to do to the road.
That's the piece that's listed there. Works maintenance and capital planning report Q2. Every road. Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
So from black soil track right through to your seal, condition assessments, when we're going to, how we set our priorities, how much money's in the bucket compared to what we can achieve.
They'll bring to us where they believe the priorities lay, and then it's up to us to either agree with that or move it around.
No, that's all right, but as long as we can get somewhere with this, because, this is the same road you and I inspected, how long ago, 12 months ago? Might have been longer.
Oh, but they're all the same. That's one, but I can pick on 8 more.
So could I.
I mean, if we wind the clock back, we used to have a dedicated approach where the capital upgrade was going to be on a road-by-road basis 4 years in advance. We threw all that out the window about 4 or 5 years ago and we haven't been near it since. I'm hoping That's exactly what Chris
Go
is
back to where.
proposing to bring back.
Right.
I guess the advantage, once we get to this point, we'll have some more guidance. The council can say what else you want, or whether you're satisfied with what we present.
The biggest problem is that there's the upgrade, but then there's the maintenance that's scheduled, and knowing when that's coming can get in front of, like if a ratepayer that lives on a road or a street or knows that there's an upgrade coming or there's a maintenance grade scheduled or whatever, at a point in time, it will soften their expectations around when it could be delivered, especially if it's been a very, very long time since the last one. There's a schedule that says this is what our expectation for delivery is. That gives us something to measure to, but until we see what that work looks like, then we can probably link further KPIs around road maintenance delivery then, not just inspection, but actually delivering on the road maintenance. Because it is so ad hoc. Now, it's just done to well, I haven't seen anything that has a consistent schedule for maintenance.
And as you know, Mr Mayor, and it's been brought to our attention previously that we're putting gravel up, high ridges as part of the flood damage. And people are seeing that, well, it's a waste of money putting it up there when we should be putting it down in our black soil country, and that's happening time and time again.
Yeah, but I'm not foreshadowing for 1 minute that will change. We can't tell the flood damage drills where they're not putting the gravel. We can always not put it there.
But it does rain on the black soil country too.
Of course it does, but that's a choice for us to upgrade that. That's where we need to get involved, and so we want to put gravel down there.
Yeah.
But we won't be getting flood damage to pay for it. That's the problem. Until we put it there the first time, and then it gets washed away, and then they'll replace it. But they will not put it there simply because we think it should go there. But I agree with you, we need to do that, have that conversation, resheet some of them roads that haven't been resheeted in 20 years. That's why there's black soil back there now, it never used to be. So, because we haven't resheeted them, and then when we did
We put the gravel there for it and left it on the side of the road.
for a long time.
For a long time, yeah.
Any more in goal 3? Theme 3, sorry. 4? Sorry.
4.1 really informs that first one. The council at some point must have a land release goal in the corporate plan.
Probably not that advanced, no. It's probably more linked to economic development, the need for land for various types of economic development, whether it's be for residential or industrial purposes. There's not a goal there with a date that we want to see X amount of hectares released at a point in time, but the goal was to have the land available to release on a needs basis.
So that informs your prospectus at the front.
Do we need a time frame on that? Is the only thing? It's a blank box there on the KPI, or is the outcome just is the outcome nearly copied across into the KPI? Completed data set.
Well, through you, Mr Mayor, the previous operational plan had 2 parts to that. One was the regional planning scheme, and then the identify land available.
Regional planning scheme's very advanced, and we know that, but it probably should still be is it here somewhere?
Next thing was in there, across the road.
It probably should be another outcome because it's still yet to be realised. I mean, it probably will be, but it should go back in really.
Because last year's was the KPI for the planning scheme against 4.1 was submitted for state interest review, which has happened.
So the goal this year is achieve finalisation. So the KPI achieve.
We've got the plan here somewhere, or Q3 we had it. What was that? We crossed off the plan somewhere, but with Q3. we'll pass that on somewhere already.
Give us one double up there. Might have been doubled up further down.
Just gotta find it. There you go. 1.2 is the planning scheme adopted by 23. That's the actual planning scheme being adopted once it gets through.
Okay, right, well, that covers that.
It was doubled up, yeah, so that's why we deleted it out of that goal.
What I understand is you've identified land and different streets for development and for industrial, and but we're a long way off marketing that.
Yeah, this is different to 4.5. That's totally different, where we're looking to get rid of a house block we own or an industrial block. This is.
Well, we are acquiring that
Yeah,
land, but still waiting on the department, so it could be acquisition of state land.
I would say that's one part of it, but the other thing that I think would be part of it would be to, like, and this is where I take the action, identify land available that may be utilised for development, is how many vacant blocks currently exist in Buckle. Like, if I've got someone who's willing to invest $50 or $60 million in housing for a new development, they want to know what's there currently, how much is there and where is it? Like, you know, there's how many, it doesn't matter who owns it, the state might own it, we might own it, a private individual might own it. We've had discussions around, you know, it'd be good to see the opportunity for the current investment before we go releasing whole new blocks of freehold land for housing development when, you know, there could be 50 blocks already available in the community connected to services.
Plus, further to that, through you, Mr Mayor, like, the land we own, like, at what stage are we in being able to utilise or sell that? Like, has it already been to tender? Like, are we starting from square one? It's never been to tender, there's never been any interest.
Could I suggest that that's 4.5 with the outcome register of land to determine disposal strategies? So I reckon that fits
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
like that register should have went to tender this date, still ours or never been offered, whatever, like that's what council's
Yeah.
fits in.
Yeah.
That 4.1 is just a blanket, we have 60 housing blocks or we have 20 or we have one or whatever we have, like one day if the breeze kicks off, we're going to be sitting in front of superannuation companies with billions of dollars looking to invest and they're going to go, what have you got? Well, we're going to go, we'll get on Google Earth very quickly and try and count them all up. I mean, that might be the simplest way to do it. Just to get a snapshot of every town and have someone sit down there and go down every street and find every vacant block.
So having a data set before council so you can use it, so you've already got it. So.
It's not overly consistent with the strategy, but that's what I'd like to see as an outcome, yes. As the strategy says land releases to enable development, but it doesn't say necessarily that it's got to be a council land release, it could be anyone's land release. Sean Dillon or Brett Walsh might own 4 blocks of land in Alpha or Barcaldine and we decide to release them for future development after we've paid a lot of money for them.
So what would you like to see? Just a report from back with all the land available and that?
Yep. Well, don't need a map. We don't need to go into that detail. We just need to know what's available.
So a report provided. How long will you give us to do that?
Well, I'll have you for fourth quarter. Just low burning issue that. Well, would you be happy with that? We don't need to see that tomorrow, do we? It'd be good to have it.
It would be good. Mr Mayor, like it's in front of is it the Lansborough Lodge? Opposite the Lansborough Lodge, that is all privately owned land there, isn't it? That's just,
Yep.
that nobody know about and it's just tied up.
I agree. I mean, my fundamental thing is here to be terrible shame if the first developer to come into the town came straight to council. It'd be great for council's coffers, but came straight to us and said, we want to buy somewhere to build 50 homes, or 10 homes, 20 homes. How many people have already invested in this community and are ratepayers of ours that if given that access to those investors might be able to do the same thing? And we're not developing greenfield sites. But councils own very limited tracts of land in Barcaldine, for example, connected to services. You're right. that whole block on the southern side of Mahinia Street, but I mean, it's only street frontage there. We don't have big numbers of vacant parcels of land, Jenny, like we do say in Aramac or Alpha that we're selling bit by bit.
To you, Mr Mayor, no, there is that other one that's quite a good block on Boree Street on the northern side of Mahogany Court. That's council's that vacant block in there.
Sorry, who was that?
Most vacant land would be privately owned.
We're helping the real estate's but own this too, and we're helping everybody else in the business.
Well, the biggest thing is I want to just, yeah, go Q3, don't go in
We get it beforehand, we'll present it before. We provide what services we need as well. What services?
Do you want a KPI for 4.3? Maintain membership, which we already are, we've paid it. Barcaldine region is appropriately referenced in broader outback promotions. What's the KPI for that?
Advertising and promotion.
Is it referenced in advertising? Is it, what is it that you would see as a measure of success or an indicator that that strategy has worked? Maintain tourism numbers. Is that a measurable enough figure for you? Given that the only real measure of that is what we see as foot traffic through the Barcaldine VIC.
Through you, Mr Mayor, what was the web searching stuff we looked into or approved? It was only mention of,
That was media monitoring.
Media
Yeah,
monitoring.
that was our references in mainstream media, so.
yeah, right. Which is unlikely to have too much to do with tourism.
Wouldn't have anything to do with advertising,
Yeah,
but if there was for example, a fatal crash, that would.
Yeah.
But advertising of the Barcaldine Rec Lake we'd taken out of the Courier Mail, that wouldn't come in through that.
right.
But we're members, so it's just maintain membership and somehow we need to report back to council with success.
Well, we've had this whole debate 2 years ago around whether our membership was being justified. Now we come up with some feel-good stomach, internal, oh yeah, well, let's do it. But is there a way of quantifying that that's worked? Or not? There may not be. It's probably why it's blank. Someone's tried to think of one and come up like that.
Do we have the mechanism to capture that feedback through our information centre? Do we, what, make
Probably.
note or reference of the amount of visitors, their positive interactions, are they
And we're
negative?
telling everyone we'll keep visiting up us for through so we can locate different measurements and bring that back.
If the outcome we're after is a broader referencing broader outback promotions, the only way to find that out is probably to interview tourists when they come in and ask where did they hear anything and where, because like how do you know how broad it is unless you can actually search it or.
So would it be something like enhanced consumer satisfaction responses? So we survey.
Because I know a lot of people say they never knew that, you know, they only found out about the things they can do when they get here. So, which makes me think that perhaps they're not reading what we've got our media in, or.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor, are we concentrating through one stream and it's maybe not the predominant stream that's getting picked up, it's a couple, whether it be in the broader promotions, but then more than half turning up and then realising that there's a whole heap more to do.
So some form of recognition review about our profile.
Yeah, instead of how you capture that.
OQTA, they target like Grey Nomad, don't they? They do.
They've all got their own clubs.
Yeah.
We target the clubs to find out
Does someone come up with a measurable KPI for the next meeting for there then, please?
Yep.
Just can all have a go at it.
Better
Next
research.
one, continue to advocate for funding to support weed and pest eradication programs.
Better just do one going, which you currently do all the time.
So the KPI that it's worked is program funding continued.
Just report on the funding when it comes. Supported by, we've covered that with the land schedule. That's-
Okay.
So 4.6 with the signage on Oak Street, that's already in your program, it's already completed. Soon.
Next gap, I'm just looking to measure the gaps here. Continued safety improvement strategy, continue to evolve safety performance reporting regionally, increased engagement and safety from staff is the KPI here. Zero reportable WHS. Now we all know that's all unattainable, Director of Works, but the target has to be the best we can be, is that not right?
Correct.
So the,
Finding zero harm. but-
yep, so the key KPI here would be nil WHS incidents. Correct?
Yeah. So we could fail at the moment we say that.
Well, I think safety is one area where you can
Accept the job.
unfortunately accept, like, you still need to aim for zero, but realistically, you know that
So we
it's
can
highly
say
unlikely. If we
maybe,
get it, that's great.
Yeah.
It's better than great. But if you set it at 95,
You're
we're
accepting
probably
the top.
expecting we're going to kill someone.
Well, that's just terrible. That's why the optics of setting it at anything other than zero is terrible.
Or could a KPI be that reported, the amount of those incidents is decreasing with time? Like a reduction in incidents?
I would still think that that's accepting, you're putting your hand up to accept that it's okay for there to still be some, provided we get less than we had last year. Ideally, we
We're
know
always getting them, but yeah.
we want to get nil though, don't we? I mean, the perfect workplace environment has nil. That's why there's no perfect ones.
So the target is reduced claims, but what that number is a difficult one. Zero harm's a great target.
The last one on this, 5.7, develop engagement strategy for the youth of the region, strategy developed. I think we can probably put that as Q3 as well. We've got a pretty good kickstart provided to us by my meeting and then the subsequent presentation here by the school leaders at the bush councils. There's some good ideas there, adopt a counsellor, bring the students together and spend their time in this chamber and Aramac and Alpha and Jericho and Muttaburra and explain it. So I think we've got a good basis there.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, back to 5.6, the safety culture. Safety culture journey. The health and safety report's not in this month either. Can we have that as part, I think most of
It
this.
should be coming back, it's an oversight, this one.
Continue reviewing policies and strategic plans, develop timetable for policy reviews and strategic plan updates. Go Q2. Review policies framework, review council's framework for policies, corporate standards and procedures.
Yeah, so we want to change that to get enough today, because we're,
I don't understand what that means, sorry, I'm just a dumb cow copy, but what does that mean? That's just words.
improve our governance, get our frameworks in place, get our policies before council to be updated, and get procedures amended.
How is that any different to the first one?
Your policies could go over a couple of years. Frameworks about getting it in place sooner rather than later. They can be both the same.
I'm just trying to differentiate what they are, that's all.
So the policies is the council's position, so council reviewing the normal policies. The second one is the management of
The implementation of the policy. Okay. How soon can you do that?
we've already started, but we'll get in front of council to agree with that, we're doing it.
Q3?
Yeah, you can go 2 if you like, I reckon we're that quick.
Right. Budget to be broken down into monthly expenditure to allow for improved tracking, improvement in the way monthly reviews of financial performance.
Council require that as part of the new approach.
For the time,
That's going to be monthly, we're doing that now.
That's probably, we already did that. Is that carried over from last year? Is that,
But you started last year on a project management and budget compliance program, that was QTC, wasn't it?
but our budget is broken down into monthly.
My council was thinking you want more information.
from a project perspective, I think council would like to know, and more than just information, what it comes back to these monthly, they're not there. Well, yeah, but that sort of thing, where we look at that, the percentage, the underrun or the overrun at that point, if it's going to be overrun, the decision be made.
Yeah, try to trigger escalation points to bring back to council to make a decision.
Well, let's leave that at monthly reports.
Yep.
Project to be reviewed on a monthly basis against project management plans, improved delivery. The target here probably sits with no limited set a target, 0 to 5, whatever you want. Project overruns, budget overruns on project delivery.
Time and cost, at least.
We'll try to reduce both budget overruns.
Both time and cost.
Yep.
So that'd be the KPI. I'm just trying to word the measurement there. I guess this whole thing is tracked by, it's one thing to report to council how things are going, but it's another to just proceed without the budgeted approval to do so. That's what we're trying to cut down.
Yep.
We get so far into it and then we go, well, yeah, no, sorry, it's going to cost you 50,000 more. Council might go, yeah, no. We'll just stop short of where we said we'd go to. We're not spending another dollar more. So for this goal to work, we're going to need to see all projects delivered on time, all projects delivered within 10% of budget or on budget, whatever you want. Reasonable budget limits is the reporting mechanism that we use. So we've got completed within budget, completed within reasonable budget limits, and completed and overspent by more than 10%. So the regional budget limit is obviously 10%. That's what that matrix uses.
Are you happy with that?
But through you, Mr. Mayor, that looks at the budget as a whole, so we could only deliver 50% of the work, but have no projects go over 10%, but still spend 90% of the budget. There's a lot more dynamics in it than the regional budget as a whole. And I would hope in time with organisational maturity, like we have that level of detail down to each project. And part of that will be on us as councillors to make sure that when a budget idea comes to us, in time we've got a better feel of how much it's going to cost in materials, people, plant, reasonable amount of contingency, and that it's going to be started in Q2, delivered in Q3, and then so if we get halfway through the year and haven't started it, then do we start it, or does it then get basketed to be rolled over, or do we scratch it?
So the KPI could be as simple as two things: 100% of projects on time, 100% of projects on budget.
Because if you go 10% of budget, it'll be 2.4 million for this budget.
That's right. If you were over by only 10% on every single item in there, if you did 100% of them, you'd be a long way over. Because overspent, whether it's by 1% or 10%, still overspent. So the goal is just like, I mean, it probably isn't necessarily, it's more achievable than zero WHS, but it's still very aspirational. But if we accept the reasons why it's not, well, it's not a failure. It just meant that we set a high standard and we haven't been able to achieve it. But part of that means we keep learning from that process. We take the learnings out of why we didn't reach that KPI to improve our process the following time.
It's a scoping of the projects at the start with our timelines and gives us the guide to see how we're tracking. So.
And really rigorous interrogation of the tender process.
Yep.
To make sure that there's sufficient contingency, that there's protections to stop contractor creep.
So that gets us to the next quarterly review and come back and look at how it's reported on.
But you can change that even before the quarterly review. If councillors want to look through that between now and the next meeting, and the meeting after, and the meeting after, the annual plan can be reviewed, as can the budget.
Yep. So we can adopt this and then we can start reporting on it.
So can I have a mover for the annual operational plan with the amendments we've today included, please? Councillor Hanson, seconded Councillor Plum. Debate? In favour?
Wait,
Oh, sorry.
Dan, councillor Arthur, we're going to talk about this Q3, whether that needs to be brought
Please give me the
forward.
number again, sorry.
2.3, we're finalising and progressing that asset management plan, so it's already overdue, so we've got Q3.
So you registered it all in place, it's now developing, so you can make it Q2, it's just a matter of getting it done.
It's a big job. I'd be worried about whether we get it done in that time, given virtually only the registered part of it's been started. We're halfway through Q1 today. 4.5 months till the end of Q2.
Is Q3 soon enough?
Or what?
Well, for us to reach our auditing milestones.
They only want the registers, that's what you
Yeah,
said,
the
Brett.
registers are done.
Not the plan
Yeah,
itself.
yeah.
For an asset management plan internally
Yeah.
is different to the actual register of assets. Or if the auditor's implied a deadline there, no.
The registers are forming an evaluation process and whether it's right. The asset management plan will be where our intervention levels are and how much we to maintain on a road when it degrades to a point where we interfere and intervene and change it.
That'd be essential for the next year's budget.
Yeah, because if we're going to get to the point where we're going to scope our jobs in more detail, we'll need those asset management plans to guide those decisions as to what the intervention levels are when we replace our plans or what's our minimum standard for buildings.
So,
It's all the work of getting together, but not unachievable.
that's only, so are they all the same? So that's just wastewater Q3, what's roads and water?
I think we're trying to make them all Q3 because you haven't finished your plants yet. Your treatment plant and your,
Correct. So wastewater and water, I'm happy to be Q3.
because they'll come.
Where's roads? Because that's the big
Roads are your massive one. We've got to get your hierarchy of roads.
done.
You've done all that.
Yep.
Now it's on, how do you intend to maintain them?
And not only have we done the hierarchy of roads, we've also done a minimum level of service. We've already decided on that. So really, the roads one, because it's going to be the difficult one to input into the next, someone point me to it. Transport it'll be, won't
It'll
it?
be under transport.
Because I don't think it's there.
We've just covered as the entire asset plan, so.
Well, that's a problem because it's only identified as in 2.3 as wastewater. Because that strategy is continuing implementing strategies to manage our wastewater networks and then finalise and progress asset management plans.
3.5.
Transport infrastructure, maintain, upgrade across the adopted asset management plans.
Well, we haven't adopted an asset management plan,
We said Q2 for that one.
but that's
That's
the maintenance and capital planning, that's not that asset management plan?
No.
Or is that what you're envisaging?
No.
So we'll second third box in there, because we've done condition reporting quarterly, so the third one will be asset management plan, Q2. So we'll be looking at capital works for roads in Q3, so
The asset management plan, you want to see it?
they're important not to confuse, Chris, but there probably some things can be done in tandem there, can't they?
Yes.
Like doing one might help pull the other one out okay.
Yeah, I think so.
If it can't be done, it can't be done, but I think that's when it should be done by. Because that, like I said, will have a big impact on next year's budget.
Gives us a deadline, we can work our way back together.
Next year,
Should be able to be done.
I think so, because so much of what I would consider the difficult decisions around road hierarchy, minimum levels of service, the hard political stuff's done there. It's now just how do you achieve that minimum level service on road length of this X amount on that hierarchy, you know, that's almost an accounting exercise for some, and more so than it is it's not really, but
Yeah, it's everyone's involved, so.
of course it is, but I mean,
Come in, so.
we've said we want to see a medium formation grade twice a year on this standard of road. There's this many roads with this standard. Someone tells someone how much it costs to do a medium formation grade on those different types of roads, and bang, it can be punched through a.
We set a priority list and then we start rolling.
I've oversimplified it, Chris. I've oversimplified it. I appreciate that, but
I'm going to make it that simple, we can
Nah.
knock it out by the end of this month.
even that.
Yeah, have it back on Friday, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, will you?
But we all agree, it's very important.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, 5.3 mentions contemporary asset management plans developed for each asset class, completed Q3.
That's the whole suite.
That's the whole lot.
All right, well, let's take that last box that I just set out then. Out of 3.5.
Or do we leave it there and then leave that?
I'm just gonna
How
break-
many different asset management plans are we actually, there was
All.
sewerage, airports, or roads and whatever,
Buildings,
buildings.
roads, water, sewage.
Put our fleet in that.
Well, let's be realistic here. I think we're better off doing it in 5.3 before you list them, because we need to list them. I think we have a different KPI listed for each one, so we know how many there should be, and we can say, because I'm going to say straight out, the buildings can probably wait till the bottom of the pile, but you're probably going to tell me they're already nearly done, are they? No, you're right.
Done
So,
in that space.
can somebody, I can't keep track of the meeting and write the notes. Let's start with them. Roads, we've said is Q2. Wastewater, is it a separate asset management plan to water?
Yeah, the waste, it should be coming with your design and construct, are they providing?
No, not just the sewage treatment plan, I mean the whole wastewater network.
Networks.
Is it separate to water?
Yes.
Yeah, the two
Okay,
separate.
so wastewater we've said is Q3 earlier in the document and didn't disagree with. Water, we've said is Q3. Are we being realistic here? This is the time to say no. I can't see us doing that if you disagree.
Well, probably wastewater. Sorry, water is probably more urgent than wastewater.
We put new telemetrics in, so that'll come with their plans
Because
already.
we know that there's still upgrades to be done on our water network. Whereas we've committed, basically our wastewater upgrades are committed at the moment, so.
Both works that are in progress here and works that we've foreshadowed for Aramac. So okay, so water is at Q3, and do we go Q4 for wastewater or Q1 next year? All right,
Go Q4 gives us a target.
all right, so wastewater's Q4. Buildings. Councillors, I don't want us to place unrealistic burden and then sit here and say we've failed. Like, is from in the immediate priority of the next 12 months, is a building asset management plan that critical to you that it needs to be delivered this year?
Well, it may you're going to commit, if you're going to commit funds in next year's budget to ad hoc buildings, whereas you want it to be guided by an asset management plan, or do you want it to be a political decision?
I get that. Unfortunately, for the lifetime of the last three councils, we've been guided by ad hoc. So I'm trying to prioritise. That's why I've said I think roads are critical. The most critical asset management plan we don't have, followed by water. Wastewater we've put back. Just buildings go back one more. Like we've got effectively the same people going to write these plans, you know, with one or two changes and additions. In giving that 3 month break, or is there that much similarity between some of these that you're better off doing, knocking a couple of them out at the same time?
Question, have we ever condition assessed our buildings? And we've got a report on condition assessments for all them.
When they were revalued.
They've all been valued last year
And then we've done
on a
it.
site valuation.
Good. So we've already got the template and the
Okay.
data.
It's,
But
if you've got a dedicated officer doing asset management plans, they should be able to do.
Righto, Q4 it is. What else have we got then?
your fleet, you're dealing with your fleet separately? That's on the owners.
Yes, and
Because you've got that.
that should be Q2 as well, to be fair. So that we can start and talk about that.
Line it up with roads.
Line it up, well, yes, because fundamentally the vast majority of dollar value in our fleet is required for our road asset management, so they sit hand in glove.
We
So
think about
Q2.
workforce planning, it's what are we building on the ground, what kit do we need, what people do we need to drive that kit? So they all follow each other.
Do you call that a fleet or an asset, plant management? What do you call it?
I'll call it plant management myself.
Right, plant management plan. Are there any others?
You've got them also, have you split your asset management into classes on your asset register? We haven't missed anything.
Where are your pools and your parks and all that sort of stuff, what's that come under?
Buildings and other structures.
Sorry? Your buildings.
Under your buildings?
Buildings and other structures. Do town green spaces, are they considered an asset?
Actually liability.
Oh, sewage, Mr. Mayor.
I beg your pardon?
Sewage,
That's your wastewater.
wastewater.
I would have called it sewage as well, considering we spell sewage about 3 different ways. Wastewater's only got one way to spell it, so every plan should have at least the same title.
You've got your artworks.
2 different ways. Just stop picking on me at this hour of the day.
I'm not a real good speller, Mr. Mayor, I was just trying to think what the third one.
All right, so
You can do a separate one for parks and gardens, like it. I think that'd be more complicated. How often do you mow? How often do you prune?
That's more an operational service standard, not a.
yeah, I mean, there's elements of our parks that definitely have a buildings or structures thing, like say, I'm looking at one straight out there, a skate park, right? That in that park is an asset that requires management. But the grass between here and there, I mean, I've seen councils with large green space that do come down to the asset condition, they condition assess their trees, so they can foreshadow trees that have got a relatively short lifespan, or if they're in a cyclone area, what their tree replacement schedule is, what they've got to do to check for termites. Like, we've got to be a little bit practical here, councillors. We are not in that space. I'd sooner get 4 or 5 of those other ones right, and if we are that good in 5 or 6 years' time, we want to condition assess the trees in Chandler Park or whatever, I'm happy for that council to be very keen to do so, but I think we stick to the ones that are costing us money.
I think we've got enough. I don't need an arborist just yet.
Which you would need to develop that plan.
To you, Mr. Mayor, I'll just give you a list of what the asset groups are. So we've got land, buildings, roads, so structures are separately, but building and structures together, plant and equipment, water, sewage and airport.
What was the other one?
Airport, missed.
Can you go through those again?
So land,
Yeah, we don't have one for
We
that
don't-
either.
Once you're building that with your land register.
Sorry, that's all I needed
so
to
we
do. I
don't
just
need
couldn't
them,
remember the
yeah.
first one was land. So
Yeah.
airports can probably wait and land can probably wait because we're doing so much with airports that's regulated. We're sort of told you have to do this. So I'm happy to develop one, but can we put it out for next year along with land? Or do you want to bring them, talk to me? No, what? No, you're not talking to me?
Next year.
You've already got an airport maintenance plan and a management plan to do with Qantas and also, your additional strips.
Councillor Arden.
I'm cautious, Mr Mayor, of overloading our resources in that area, considering the asset management plans have been percolating along for 12 months. Which hopefully means that there's been a reasonable amount of the work done in the background, and it's,
Even if it's just to get headspace right.
yeah.
So we've
So,
got to prioritise it. It's easy to say we won't do it, but we need to prioritise to make it happen.
so land and airports will not go into this corporate, operating plan, please. We'll stick with those that's been written down. Can you just read them out for me, Brett, or someone whoever took the notes?
Roads quarter 2, wastewater quarter 4, water quarter 3, buildings quarter 4, plant management quarter 2.
You in agreement? Councillor Plum? Thank you for dragging that back out. Okay. So Councillor Hanson and Plum have moved that with the amended operational plan as discussed in this conversation, both on the record and as has been noted by our Executive Assistant. Thank you for the pickups. Those in favour? 7-0. Carried. Now, I think we can go back to you, Simon, please. Sorry, thank you for, it's probably good actually that you were there for that conversation, given that you'll have a significant role in formulating a lot of, in and around a lot of that stuff. So, can I have somebody move that Summer's Community Care Services report, please, agenda item 353 be received. Councillor Peoples moves, Councillor Plum seconds, those in favour, 7-0. So I made really early in the year here, as you know, but anything relevant?
Mr. Mayor, only the home assist secure is the area we might be, once we do the equipment for the department, would be the area we might be returning unspent or unspent funds. Which is a projection of 50,000 at this stage, but could be more so. As it has been for a few years, we haven't been able to spend the whole allocation.
Questions, councillors? Yeah, I thought I did this. Okay. Thank you, sir. Well, we do. We do have any notes already? Yeah.
Everyone's been waiting for it.
361. No, somebody moved their works report be received, please. Councillor Gleeson, seconded. Councillor Plum, those in favour. Councillor, what is 7-0, please? Okay, Chris?
Mr Mayor, the report is as tabled, and just a couple of other additions that were either not available at the time or just, I think, pertinent information for council. Lyle Crawford has come back on deck as of last week. Engaged through Logo in the title role as works coordinator, but look, he'll work in parallel, assisting with project delivery, planning, some road transport, asset inspection stuff, and some training, working alongside our senior works supervisors. And his first major activity will be assisting myself in the training workshop that will be, the planning workshop that we'll be undertaking this Thursday, Friday. We've had the opportunity to meet with Councillor Hanson, Athol Height, to go out and have a look at the east-west runway regarding works that we need to undertake for the drags. That looks positive. There's some minor points that was brought up, some observations brought up by Athol, and I think that some relatively minor changes out there will fix that surface, and mainly just concerned around the launch site and the transition from concrete onto the seal edge. That's fine. And again, just noting there's been an increase in customer complaints with regards to trafficability of road post most recent rain event. In particular, and what we've had a look at, undertake some maintenance on Aramac Jericho, Crewkern, Crossmore, and as of Friday, Richmond Hills. And got traffic counters out now on Bowen Downs Road.
Good work, thank you. If I may, Capricorn Highway, Section 1, 9 culverts left. Possible that these will be completed under another contract. Does that mean another contract issued now so that we can do it whilst we're underway, or a future contract at some other stage?
Either or, we're still looking at prices and negotiating with the subbing, but we'll hope to confirm that probably by next week.
Is there already expenditure to date, as in have we acquired the culverts, or are we just looking?
So the culverts are there, and I believe they've been there probably since the beginning of the contract.
So is this an issue with, we were given a scope, not an issue, but has this arisen, we were given a scope, we've procured the assets for the entirety of the scope, so we've been given, say, 50 culverts to whatever, X amount of culverts, we've procured X amount of culverts, but the installation of them has come at a cost higher than was forecast, and we're not quite going to reach the end goal. Is that
correct, Mr. Mayor? I think what we're seeing with a lot of our larger projects, and one of the, and it's not exclusive to this particular project, and I think we're going to see it play out.
Please, sorry, I've just realised that there are contractors involved in this, and the discussion of this in open session could be injurious to, it could affect ongoing council contracts, both contracts up and down. So I think under section 254, section 3, what? G. 3G, thank you, we'll roll with that. We probably should close the meeting. Sorry, I should have thought of that before. Councillor Peoples moves, Councillor Gleeson seconds. Any objection? Being closed, 7-0. All right, councillors. So, yeah, the summary of that upshot of that conversation is, without the confidential bits, that we are seeing a scope consideration or reconsideration there for that Cap Highway job due to supply cost increases. Flood damage Belltopper Creek, the geofabric and rock protection outstanding. You have to give a time frame on that?
No, I don't. No, Mr. Mayor, I don't have one at this stage.
Could we just list that one, please? In RMPC, are we the resheeting schedule for Alpha Turnbow, was that an extraordinary RMPC that we're nearing completion, or was it scheduled RMPC? Was that in the initial schedule?
Yes, it's in the initial schedule.
Okay, good. But they were happy to carry that over?
Yes, they are.
And the emergent works, have we got an estimator? Is that you've mentioned there, that's purely emergent works for RMPC, for State Road? Or is
that's our network, the remaining on those for emergency work. Sorry, you're talking about RMPC.
So underneath RMPC there's a dot point about emergent works?
Yep.
Was that a significant volume?
No, Mr Mayor, not like what we see on our rural roads, no.
Can you explain what a digital road network is, please?
So digital road network is the pickup that we provide, or we utilise and also provide to agencies like QRA, but it becomes that common piece of digital information that is based on geotagged pickups that are then put into a program like Excel or something like that, run a macro through it, and it gives us essentially the dotted line that defines our network.
Okay. So
from
that purely for state roads?
No, we do it for, we've got that information on all of our roads. So it provides us locally with all the change information we use on our tablets for the running of our RMPC program Reflect, which allows us to log data and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's common with both our state and rural roads. Yeah.
I guess just probably the last point, is there, and I know we're in open session, but just relating to that conversation around whether we do or don't do, or whether Section 1 happens or doesn't happen. I know we've got in the report nil budget implications. Will that potentially see, happy for this to be on notice as well though, will this impact our budget from a revenue perspective if that section is not completed this time around?
Mr Mayor, I will take it on notice because I should be able to come back to you with some breakdown of those costs as well.
Thank you. That's my questions. Councillors?
Mr Mayor, I've got a couple. The racetrack entrance into the Aramac Racecourse, Chris, looks like we're just about to close that. We've got a race meeting in a few days' time. Will it be closed before the race meeting? Because it'll be a bit of a maze getting in there.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Look, I'll get an update on it. The intention was that it was open.
Yeah.
We did look at another option to actually cut in another access. But
They've roaded an access down through up the middle of the creeks.
Sure.
But I'm just not too sure how they're going to get into it if they're coming from Longreach, or they'll have to cross the main road and go down onto the thing and then come back down and across and back in. It's going to be a bit of a maze to get in there when it's only about 3 days away. But if you've got to start this week, well, so be it. But
yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. I'll speak to the foreman's back tomorrow.
Yep.
So he's had someone relieving. I can get an update and we'll make sure that access is improved for the meeting on Saturday.
okay, thank you. I've also had a inquiry just up past the Bowen Downs bridge, where you go across that bridge there, about 3/4 of a K up. There's a sweeping turn.
Yeah.
And there's a fair few tracks there where people are hitting their brakes and what have you, because the timbers come across and they're seeing each other too late. So he says it's a bit of a safety issue. We might have to push some of those trees so there's a bit more visibility around that corner.
Is this on the Torrens Creek Road?
On the Torrens Creek Road.
Do you know the PC thing?
Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Gleeson?
No, I'm pretty right, I think. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor
Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Ryan?
Well, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Ryan?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Did you say you've got enough questions?
No,
No questions, right. Does anyone wish for either Councillor Arthur or Rogers to leave? They foreshadowed their two PCOIs. Does anyone want them to step outside so you can ask the question? Okay, all good, thank you. 371. Information report Alpha Jericho. Can I have somebody move Damien's report be received? Councillor Plum, Councillor Hanson. Those in favour? Carried. Damien.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor, I just wanted to let you know that there is an order that's gone through Rural Aid of around $28,000 worth of picnic seating and park furniture that'll be being used in Settlers Park, as well as we'll also be able to pick up some of this other furniture and take it over, for big events at the showgrounds as well. So just to utilise a couple of areas in Alpha there.
Thank you. Questions?
Through Mr. Mayor, if you do a couple of observations. One observation, the rural lands officer down your area has is testing a new bug in the Aristia cactus, and I witnessed the other day down along the belly end there that it's coming along. It's very good results, extremely good results down along the river through past Corinna down through the country. I had very favourable comments from the regarding the library and information centre, the way the transaction's been going. But the one thing that a little bit of negative feedback was the signage for the information centre and the library. Apparently, when you drive up the street or walk up the street or whatever, there's sort of no real way, unless it's been done in the last few weeks. This was about 3 weeks old, this little bit of information. There was not enough signage or not enough direction to point exactly where it was.
Councillor, just before Damien responds, the information centre and the library are not in one building. It's only the library and the bank.
Library, bank, and the information centre. There was a three of them, I'm sorry. I had three things going at once.
Yeah, the information centre is still down.
Yep.
At Paul's old electrical shop, but
I apologise. That's why I just got that sidetracked, because they wanted information put into the information centre to point to where the library and the bank were. That's what I apologise about.
Thank you, Councillor. Anything further?
Sorry, no, I just want to give you a bit of positive feedback as well. So that's good.
Councillor Hanson. Councillor
Just a question about the Alpha Men's Shed project.
Yes.
Was it dealt with okay.
In no way relevant to your PCLI, but there were savings identified within Works for Queensland projects that had been completed that will allow that to go ahead in its totality.
I'm fine, thank you. No question. Councillor savings.
Damien? Can I have somebody move Paula's report, please? Butterborough. Councillor Plum, you've had a very active day. Councillor Hanson's had almost as active a day. Those in favour? 6-1. Councillor Peebles?
No, I think I'm good, Mr. Mayor, thanks.
I was asking whether you're in favour of or against the motion and receive the report.
Okay.
7-0. Paula, have you got anything before Councillor Peebles tells you that he's good and doesn't have any questions? Have you got anything from your report for us?
Just an update on the pool project, Mr. Mayor. I just received an email this morning to say that all the equipment's on the sea and it will be in Australia first week in September. They're looking at installing either late September or early October. So hopefully that will progress. And
Sorry, well, before you go off from that, because I have a few notes around that, so just to refresh our memory, it was over budget. Did we find the new money for it, or is your new course of action what brought it back down within budget?
no, it was because it was over 2 years in different funding buckets. It wasn't really over budget.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, proceed.
And then just bringing to your attention that the Muttaburra pool, the self-dosing system, so
Sorry, that's what I was talking about. Sorry, you're talking about.
I was talking about Aramac, and this one's Muttaburra.
Apologies. Yep.
No, that's okay. The new price is 91,000 or 92,000 closer to, and the original budget was 85, so that's just due to another contractor having to engage another contractor to come out and actually install it. The very first quote we got wasn't to install it because we had a plumber on hand, and the Muddaborough supervisor was actually going to install it, but now we've had to engage an installer as well.
Okay.
But that's 6K over, so there's still 5 projects there that are LRCIP, so there should be savings in there from those projects, if we can take it from them. Can we take from LCRIP?
Yeah. Possible.
If we can vote with another PM to get the money.
I've got my own 5 projects.
Just pitch it from yourself, and then there's no need for a fight with any other DM.
No.
Damie's the pushover, we gotta get it out of here.
I might have some spare, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry?
I might have some spare.
Oh, I very much doubt that, Jenny, somehow, I very much doubt that.
Genuine
No, I'll use it on my other.
All right, Paula, sorry, continue.
That's all I just.
Okay, can I ask, was there any outcome from the town common user meeting that we really need to know? Is there any operational issues that we need to visit there?
No, not really. They're all quite happy. They, I just let them know that we will be renewing the form hopefully in the next 6 months to a year possibly.
Yes.
So, just to be aware of that, and no, they're all quite happy.
Okay, what's a heat exchanger?
Warms the pool, keeps the pool warm.
Okay. Right. So when the supervisor's investigating the heat exchanger, does that mean that it's not working, or?
No, it's not working. If we haven't been open for the winter, Mr. Mayor, because the water in Muddaborough, you think it's hot enough, but it's not hot enough to swim in winter without the heat exchanger.
Right.
So, yeah, it's been broken for some time.
As in, this is the first winter we've had to close?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so that'll be potentially a budget item?
No, it's not that expensive, Mr. Mayor, I think it's
Oh.
$1,000, $2,000, certain maintenance.
Okay. And another comment from Muddaborough Town Supervisor regarding monthly water monitoring. What's that? Really?
Yeah, so we don't test our water regularly. It fell off for some reason, but so they're just bringing that up to scratch now.
Excellent. Sorry, do you have a comment?
Sorry, to you, Mr. Mayor, there is a, I'll make sure I include Paula as well. I only sent out yesterday some interim procedures around our water testing requirements for feedback. In particular, it was a request from our Muddaborough Town Supervisor, so we've jumped on that and got that out for all of our water schemes, which will work in nicely with some of the ongoing training or the training that's going on with regards to our water certificate.
Thank you. Paula, just noting the Rural Land Officer's activity, the comment there, completed the new section of cemetery fence. Did the lands officers do that themselves? Or
Yes.
congratulations to the officer. Way cheaper to fence internally than it is to engage a contractor, because I've never seen a fencing contractor go broke yet.
No, they did a very good job too. It's good.
Yeah, well, I saw it completed and didn't realise we'd done that ourselves. It's a quality piece of work. Not that contractors are not, but the fact that we could do that in-house to that standard is exceptional. Damien, for you, I note the AEDs have been located in Gordon Street, Aramac, and the LAC there are looking to install 3 more. Jericho, where are we at with the AED installations there that were donated to us via and the boxes? Are they up?
They've been installed.
Okay.
They were installed earlier this year.
Is that mapped as has been done here in Muddaborough? So there must be some.
There's signage with them, yeah.
What's the mapping that you've done, Paula, here?
Oh, the QAS does the mapping, so once they're put in place, the QA, it would have to be mapped because it has to have the street address and everything, so QAS know exactly where it is.
Can we just double check, because us paupers in Alpha and Jericho don't have access to QAS, so it wouldn't surprise me that they know nothing about them. So only the privileged that live in Barcaldine and Aramac that get a QAS officer. And I hope someone is watching. Who said that? Yeah, so they're just because there's not a QAS presence there, and they were donated out from outside the QAS. You know, this has been handled through your LAC. Can we just check that, please, through you, Shane, to Damien, just to follow up on that, because it would be beneficial if there was a triple O call. What I'm thinking can happen here, we've installed them, we know where they are, but if triple O don't know where they are, which is why the ambulance committee's locked, they get a triple O call to say someone's having a heart attack, they could tell them to go to Red Bank or the information centre or whatever and get one of those things off the wall, walk them through on the phone how to use them. So that just tweaked with me. If that's happened correctly, it would assume in Aramac. We just make sure the process is correct in Jericho as well. And while we're going, is there any, we don't have any other public ones anywhere in Alpha or Muttaburra or here? Jenny or Damien or Paul?
We have one in the hall in Muttaburra, but
Is it mapped too?
I wouldn't think so. It's because it's not locked. Like the one in the main street's actually locked and you have to ring a pin, like put in a PIN code, ring 000 and get a PIN code. That's why it's mapped, to open the cabinet.
Okay. It'd be good to be mapped just so the QAS knew there was one there though, wouldn't it? If we can get through that somehow. Have we got one here anyway?
To you, Mr Mayor, we have got one to go in, which was kindly donated to us by the Barcoolen State School because it was donated to them, which they couldn't utilise. We're going to install that at the rec park, which was in agreement with the state school. We were waiting for the signage, but found out when I gave them my expiry date of my card, it was incorrect. But they forgot to ring me and ask me for the details. So finally have the signage, so we'll get that installed by a carpenter. But it's not a locked cabinet as such either.
Right.
But we can ask the QAS to map that it'll be there. But it'll probably be locked because we'll put it inside that kitchen in the kitchen canteen building.
Especially given what's going on around town.
Yeah.
I just think these things are truly life-saving devices. If triple O operators know where they are, and maybe so they may come back and tell you, District Manager, no, we only want to know about the locked ones. If that's the case, come back to me and I will go to the Minister and say, we need you to know where these things are because a tourist or a travelling member of the public, the locals will know where they are. I'm not worried about them. Well, they'll work it out pretty quick once they've been there for a while. But even to be fair, if you're dealing with a crisis or a situation, those things might struggle. Whereas if they go to the town hall, there's one on the front wall. So if it's possible to map where we're installing them, that would be great. If it's not, tell me why not. I can move towards fixing that.
Mr Mayor, I'm not aware of any in Alpha either.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Alpha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't think of any around town that I'm aware of, so.
Might be something for our community groups in Alpha.
That's really cool, yeah, council.
Might be something we discuss with community groups, probably anywhere that utilise council facilities, whether in their fundraising efforts we can seek to raise a bit of money to have one installed in those common places. So in our council relations with our community groups, when they're talking about it, might be good, we've proven that we'll accept them and take over responsibility for them where they're given to us. If community groups are prepared to raise a bit of money or throw it in, it might just help because they're a really genuine life-saving tool, I believe. You also have questions regarding the local heritage register for the Dr. Arata Museum. Is there any action required from us on that?
I believe they're going to write a letter to the CEO asking to have a meeting with him to discuss it further. But
Is it that they want to be included or that they don't want to be?
well, they're not really sure.
Are they currently included?
No, I don't think so. No.
And they're wondering why they're not.
No, they said they didn't want to be. I think we've tried to include them,
Okay.
and they've said they don't really want to be included. I think they were more hung up on actual heritage, Queensland heritage, like how it's tied into that. We tried to tell them that it's two different things. Like it's local heritage is only to make sure that someone doesn't put a road through the building, or it's not tied to you have to when you refurbish it, it has to be done like this. It's not about that. I'm trying to get that through them, but I think they're not too sure. They do want to have a meeting with the CEO in the coming weeks.
Okay, it's important that we do that and probably log that as feedback for the new planning scheme because that plan is a direct pull out of the town plan. So yes, that feedback would be very good. Questions for Paula from anyone while I go here?
Starlight Cafe going for?
I think it's doing pretty good business, especially with the tourists at the moment.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Probably more of a comment than a question, Mr Mayor, but that gear turning up for the splash pad and everything in September, you're going to have to work around the pool being open.
Yeah, through Mr Mayor, I did say to him that we'd probably open and then close again. Because if he's not coming till October, I'm not going to stay closed until October. So we'll probably open for a few weeks and then close for a week. I don't think the installation will take that long.
Okay.
So yeah, probably be a week maybe.
We might have been able to fence the splash pad area off and just leave the main pool area open or something.
Can you share through councillor Rogers? Oh, no, I've forgotten it. It's not forgotten, but I can't find my note. Sorry, so I can keep going if no one else has got any further questions. 391, can I have somebody move Jenny's report be received, please? Councillor Arthur, seconded. Councillor Plum, those in favour. Carried 7-0. Jenny.
Okay, so it's read, and as you can see, they've commenced work on the western wall at the town hall here. Once the council company's finished that, we'll discuss with him the upgrades to the amenities at the Corrigy Park. Swimming pool upgrades, still waiting on the building better regions funding. If there's nothing forthcoming with that shortly, we'll just call the filtration upgrade as standalone. There were some other minor works at the showgrounds which have been done. They were just making water. There were water leaks in the kitchen area. That was all fixed some time ago. You'll see that the tourism report has been quite busy. Thinking numbers were down a little bit from previous years, but the number of caravans and that in the town don't appear to be that, but it was also mentioned in that report, and I think it's a general comment from some of the other businesses you walk into. Ability to get food is raised on numerous occasions by the tourists to people running these facilities. So yeah, I'm not a cook, so I don't foresee me opening up a business. But you were also talking earlier about the weed spraying at the rec park, which we thought we'd speak a little bit about in this session here. We did have a Zoom meeting with the man because there has been issues raised around the safety of the product. I have got some notes here, and those others that were at the meeting with me can speak to them, that things that I may miss. But I guess the big thing is the harm is only in the actual chemical itself, and it's all pumped into the water, and it's done underwater, so it's not as though it's in contact with anyone. The recommended timeframe is 72 hours for the facility to be closed. But look, we could close it for a week because they've scheduled that they're going to come on the 6th and 7th of September. Because as you would have seen up there today, you can actually see the shutters in the water, so it's actually very active again at the moment. So it has to be, all weed has to be covered. So if there's a little bit toward the bank, we have to make sure that the water level covers all the weed that's there, because it won't kill it if it's not in the water. So it's got to be in the water. So yes, it is harmful to any marine life, aqua life that lives in there, because they depend on the water for oxygen. But there is timeframes that, they will come to these top people there, they could scoop them out. Not aware of how large the fish and that are in there, but he did mention that, if it's things like turtles and everything like that, once that water starts to starve of oxygen, they will walk out. So, they've got the ability to get out of the water. So, but they say he said 4.5 hours, but he said there's no waste in it. And he's been doing this for 26 years. So his experience in the industry is quite significant. And the weed is called, because someone was asking what it was called when we were heading up there, and I did have it called something here, and it is called red water milfoil. That's the ordinary name, but it's got a very big name, so it gets that red spike on the top. Also, concern was raised that there appears to be that similar weed in the Lagoon Creek, but the Deputy CEO has photographed it and sent it to this gentleman, and he said it's a different weed. You wouldn't be able to put this chemical into there, so you can only put it into sort of waterways that don't go into rivers, so into a restricted waterway, yeah, because of what it would do once it got down the stream. So it will keep going until it's deprived everything that it needs to of the oxygen, is what he explained, if I'm correct on that one. Yeah. So, yeah.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Jenny, when this chemical goes on and obviously it falls to the bottom of the ski path, does it just disintegrate or can it reform again? Is it able to do that, or is it?
The weed or the chemical?
No, the weed, like.
It kills the weed within a day.
Within 1.5 hours.
Yeah, it's like.
And it dissolves it effectively.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
And he believes it could be effective for a number of years. So this is you can get some that you may have to keep doing, it could be 6 months, it could be annually, but this is a more long term. He said it could be up to 2 years, it could be even longer. It's depending, yeah. So, yeah.
Further points there to expand and highlight what Jenny's raised is this chemical is in no way toxic to any animal that consumes any deceased animals or weeds. So it's not a secondary chemical, it's a primary chemical only. So, for example, if a fish dies and a duck lands and eats the fish, or a pelican, nil chemical impact or physiological impact on the secondary species at all. It'd be very difficult to find the weed because it literally dissolves the air out of it, but very quickly breaks down. It doesn't become a clump of stinking, decaying marine life washed up on the shore or selling on the bottom. The half-life of the chemical is 4.5 hours, which I think Jenny said. It's very reactive to oxygen, and it makes the oxygen molecule in the water very unstable. However, it breaks down almost as immediately as things start to stabilise out, and that doesn't require the addition of further water, but the hydrogen-oxygen molecules combined, which obviously is water, becomes very stable again around the 4.5 hour mark, and effectively within 12 hours it is completely, you could introduce fish back into there should you want to, but obviously we're not in that space, but
So how long do they recommend that we put more water back in there, like, is it?
it needs to be as full as possible when it first happens, when it goes in.
And then after 72 hours after it's been.
Yeah, it will have done what it's going to do the same day, basically. I mean, it's still got that, but it's injected via 16-wheel. Did you say that, Jenny? It's a 16-wheeler.
Yeah, he had.
Yeah.
He mentioned that it's like a quad bike, like one of those aqueduct quad bike style things. Yeah. So basically, the chemical is only harmful in that raw state, and they're licensed people who touch it, so they don't just have anyone there doing it. And it's injected 300 ml into the water, so it's injected underwater. So it's
in combination with dry nitrogen. It's not even injected in a raw form. So it's taken out of the seal container through the process, combined with dry nitrogen and injected a foot underwater.
Oh, brilliant. So that's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
There's no oversight.
Yeah. So, and he says it takes him about 1 day to inject it into the water. Yeah. So, so he sort of said the 6th and 7th. They say a minimum of 72 hours to not allow anyone in there, but look, if you had to close it for a week, if you're doing it at this time in September, we asked him to bring it forward because he was looking at October, November, but there's a few things scheduled for then, so he's brought it forward, and looking there today, I think it'd be well and truly needed before any of those events could happen. Yeah.
Would you Through you, Mr Mayor, Jenny, would you close the whole park or would you leave the restaurant section open, or how would that work? Because you wouldn't want someone out there having a meal and a little toddler walk down into the
And
water.
That would be, that would be the concern. Now we have a date and hopefully that's in concrete. We will write to the ski park diner. You know, they might want to do deliveries to the gate or something if they want to keep going, but you would have to, because you couldn't risk that someone would get in there whilst that
He recommended closing the whole facility while he was spraying.
Yeah.
While he's there with the
So
chemical.
definitely those 2 days, yeah.
The 72 hours, you could probably just close altogether, then after that, you just don't let them in, but they can't swim or something.
Yeah, just,
Well, 72 hours, it's fine.
It's expired, you can go,
Yeah.
you can drink it there.
yeah,
We just want to mitigate the risk while it's happening.
yeah, so,
There is potential for combined operation, maintenance activities to the diner as well at the same time.
Okay.
So then they would be nil impact, they'd be closed anyway.
Right.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Blake.
I know it's got to be done, but there has been no mention of cost. What's the cost of this?
It is in the budget, isn't it? I think we put that figure in the budget, 60,000.
it was done in last year's budget, last year. It was
45.
I have got the price right here, I just did.
We paid in last year's budget.
It's already been done in last year. 43,400.
Is that just for the chemical though?
That's the whole job.
Okay.
That's what the cost is, 43,300.
So,
43,400, sorry, that's after GST.
so through you, Mr Mayor, this is something that we will have to budget for every year. We'll have to put it in the budget. If the weed's there now, what's going to stop it from coming back next year?
Well, this is the best, so if you were to mechanically harvest it, you would cultivate it like you would any weed. This you can get anywhere, some places where it's injected get up to 10 to 15 years without having to worry about it again. So it's a bit of a piece of string. You would estimate having to do it periodically, but not annually.
Yeah.
The problem was its presence when the water first hit it. Now, completely eliminating it from within the water gives you your best chance to maximise the longevity of not. Further questions?
And just for council's information, I will also just mention that the Barcaldine office has been nominated, and it's actually on the Queensland Government website, that we will be the distributor for the RAT tests for concession card holders. It is already up there, but unfortunately we haven't received the RAT test kits yet, but I've received an email this week advising that we should have them maybe this week. They've been received by Queensland Health, they've just got to be distributed out from the Longreach area. So they're for concession card holders only. I think they can get up to 5 a month.
And we're that distribution point. We are.
One of them.
One's
Not just.
Oh,
We're only one in town. They took it off the chemists. Chemists don't do that anymore, so
because chemists don't want to, or because the government doesn't.
I don't know the
Just
reasoning
ask them to
behind.
store them here and hand them in.
We didn't know until people started turning up at the counter asking for free.
What? That is illogical. In a town with 2 pharmacies and a doctor, a hospital, and they're going to go to the local government for a RAT test and just.
We're probably charging them for them, seeing they're free here.
No, Mr Mayor, this came into effect as of the 1st of August.
Oh.
So up until then, yes, they must have been being distributed through the pharmacies, but that contract must have expired or, yeah.
Yeah, the pharmacies would have been paid for it, and we're expected to do it for nothing.
We haven't been inundated.
Ask Mr
Wait,
Mayor.
I've got some fundamental problems because there's
We've got limited opening hours compared to the three options that you, like, we don't open weekends.
Well, nor does the pharmacies on Sunday, but
But at least are there.
but there's a hospital just down the road.
Mm.
And on top of all of that, my understanding of the current directives for health directives, it's recommended to wear a mask everywhere, but it's compulsory to wear one in a health facility, pharmacy or a hospital. Cannot walk through the door without one on. But that is not the case for a local government authority administration office. The only people who go and get a rat test are people who don't feel well. So we're inviting COVID through our front door. No way. They've got other options. They've got a hospital. Right there.
They still use the hospital anyway, I thought.
Not if we're, well, maybe not for concession card holders, not for the free ones.
I only know because I hold a veterans card.
Yeah.
And the only place so I'm entitled to that also. And the only place I can go currently, as I'm aware, until right now, was to a chemist. They're the only agencies that have been the facilitators of the rollout of this particular project.
And so were we informed directly through correspondence from the Department of Health?
They flagged us ages ago, would we consider it, but we never really engaged any deals or anything else. No one was advertised we were doing it.
To you, Mr Mayor, no, it was actually a traveller walked into our counter. And we said, no way, that's not us, sorry, wrong place. And then the chemist rang me and said,
People
no,
wonder
you're
why I
right
said what I
place.
said in February last year, like God help us all. You know, let's just go and light up yet again another business. It happens to be the people that provide us with water and sewerage and, you know, actually, talk about me. That is a situation that needs urgent investigation about why in these small centres, or who's going to do it in Brisbane? You're going to walk into City Hall in Brisbane and pick up one? Of course you're not. They've got options and they should investigate them elsewhere.
Not if you're a pensioner anyway, you can go all the way into the city.
I don't understand why the chemist isn't still doing it.
Sorry.
I don't understand why the chemists still aren't.
Well, so the government doesn't want to pay them to do it. What private business is going to do something for free? None, zero. No, it's all right, local government will do it.
I'm not chasing up.
You chase it up with the CEO because I'm ringing the chair of the board. That's wrong. Thank you for advising me of that, Jenny.
Mr Mayor, I did it because you councillors may be approached in the public about it, so I will let you know officially when they arrive, but they have them, they've just got to distribute them now.
Because of course it's the first thing that comes into your head, doesn't it, when you feel a bit unwell? Oh, I better go down and see the local council. Like, what part of common sense was ever applied to that decision?
So when they get to the door, Jenny, do they have to wear a mask into the office?
There's no.
But they do it, because they do it at the
Mr
pharmacy.
Mayor, DVA still give me advice to go to a chemist.
So, well, someone's going to investigate it and find out.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, before you really put your foot in everything, can I?
No, I can put both of them in. Bring it on.
Can I change the subject slightly?
Normally me reining you in. Well, here you having a go at pulling me in.
So you want to red test before we don't talk about it?
Right, move on to another point. Thank you, Councillor Wilson.
The footpath dining in Aramac, did they, the Lord's officer, in the Lord's officer report footpath dining in Aramac, were the persons that were there doing the footpath dining, did not have a licence, or did they have to get a licence, or are they banned totally?
I'll answer that, Mr Mayor. No, he doesn't have a licence at the moment. He was asked to apply for a licence. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr Mayor, the illegal camping.
Yeah, I was curious. I've got some question marks next to that. What's that mean?
To you, Mr Mayor, it is at the trucks, the stop just in front of the sewage treatment plant. That truck stop there. There were people setting up their tents and vans and everything there, and also down at the one further down parking out in the bush and stuff like that.
Yeah, can I just have some understanding how that's illegal?
They don't have that they're rest stops. I can confirm with the local laws officer.
So are they a TMR facility, the one further out? Wouldn't be.
The one further out is, yes, Mr Mayor,
That wouldn't be
but a lot of
subject.
them, to Mr Mayor, a lot of them were at, there was tents and that pitched at the one just on the edge of town here. I can confirm.
Who owns that though?
Yeah, TMR toilets, Mr Mayor.
So it's probably not subject to local laws, would it?
I will check on that, please.
Right, thank you.
Because I don't know if it's other areas as well, so.
We are the custodian of the road and we do get funding under RFPC to look after them. If that only murks up the water a little bit more.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Are you injecting the chemical 300 ml under the surface, mixing it with dry nitrogen on the way through?
That's right.
Thank you. I'll confirm with the local laws officer.
Councillor Hanson.
Through you, Mr Mayor, totally different subject. I noticed the work starting on the western wall of the Shire Hall, and a conversation and probably lots of observation I had this morning with the windows right up the southern end, glass are getting broken by rocks. Maybe we should look at replacing them with aluminium while they're doing the reworks.
To you, Mr Mayor, we're waiting to find out what funds we've got left. It's LRCIP funding. We've got a pool of funding there, which is also doing the floor and the wall. So this was the urgent part, because if you go on the inside of the hall, you can see through the timbers and it's very shabby. So we were just looking at that, and if there is funds left, we will go further along. Because
They're referring to the levers in the old toilet block.
Yes.
They seem to be getting broken.
Yeah, vandalised, we've replaced them quite regularly. But what we're looking to do, and again, if there is sufficient, the dressing room on that side and the old toilets need a full refurbish, because the old men's toilets and everything are still there. So that is also, we have put it in the budget a couple of times to actually finish that, but it hasn't gotten up. So if we've got some left, we will start to pull that out and get that tidied up, and that'll be part of that process.
Okay, any further questions?
Mr. Mayor, can I just ask Jenny, the security over on the toilets over here, is it working?
To Mr. Mayor, yes, the security camera is working. But I have got it back working on my phone, and I was trailing back through, because we are getting a little bit of graffiti and vandalism happening in there. It is being reported to the police. I've tried to trail back very slow on my phone to trail back through the camera to find out where I was, but it must be nights before. So yeah, they are working. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, no, it was just brought, they were talking about it the other day, and they said that the toilets were eggs trashed or something, and
Yes.
and the cameras weren't
And
working,
they
so
were-
the police couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
The cameras are working.
Yeah, the cameras are working, and I think they have ideas of who the perpetrators are.
They just need that to confirm.
They've got to be able to confirm, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
The only observation further before I move on from this report that I just make, and it's a pertinent one that we're probably all aware of. There's no immediate fix for. It's very difficult when you have significant large-scale events such as bush councils or a large campcraft event. But in the Visitor Information Centre report, paragraph 5, you'll note the reference to the impact the complete closure of the showgrounds has on visitor numbers. I know Councillor Gleeson and I discussed this with other members of the Barcaldine Campcraft Committee. I know I discussed it with a couple of business owners around the bush councils. The benefit of both is that we did have businesses report quite sustained patronage during both of those events from the people who were at the facility. So it's not completely loss, However, it is a massive financial loss for council. As Councillor Gleeson and I worked out the rough sums, when we're having north of 60 caravans a night exit the facility for 4 nights for a community event, which obviously no one wants to see not happen either. I'm not presenting it to you because I have a solution or I think we need to actively look for one, but it's probably something we need to be cognizant of, the impact that does have on overnight stays in our relative communities where we do grant that. So if in our future budget deliberations we can have an understanding of extra camping sites that we might be able to use as overflow or provide for the people who are coming for those events wherever they are, and he's the one that's referenced in this report, but if it's elsewhere, well, we need to investigate what we can do there. Decision for another day, but just I note that comment from the operational report there from the BIC, and it certainly is one that I'm very aware of, and some councillors are as well. Okay, 392. Can I have I do believe this would fit under section 254J as well, to close the meeting. I can have a resolution to that effect, please. Councillor Peoples, Councillor Plum, debate against. There being none, those in favour? Carried. Meeting closed. Good. Do we wish to add that amendment?
Yeah, Debbie started to, but I think she just needs to put in that the council accepts the tender panel recommendation and agrees.
Yep. Okay, do I have a mover? Councillor Plum, seconder. Councillor Arthur. Debate. Those in favour? 7-0. Okay. Oh, Angela. Right, while Angela's been all over, Damien, can I, as a follow-up to your report, ask that you reach out to the men's shed regarding a community event? I've had some reach out, they've got an event in October, and they're just after talking to council about it. I said that we've got a new process for filling out the paperwork and we might be able to help them through that.
Yeah, I met with one of them the other day, Mr Mayor, with the sergeant about that with Ellen Corner.
Okay, and the other thing is the community groups, the couple of community groups being led by Irene Clues, looking at securing some RSL funding for RSL and might be just RSL funding to upgrade the War Memorial and undertake some changes to that. So could you just, at this stage, I think they're looking for a support letter, can you just check what their requirements are and then come back to me with what, if it's a budget item for us, they're not asking for money, but if there is anything, let us know. Obviously it's located on our land, so they've got there's a group of people there who have formed a bit of a steering committee for how to improve the recognition, because currently we've only got World War I vets named on a board inside the hall. There's no recognition of anyone who served in any conflict sit, so they want to go through and do that, and they're looking to get, so it's a great, from my understanding of the concept, it's very good, but if you could just get some details from Irene, and I'll provide a support letter if that's what's required for their grant, or if council can, you can, whoever. Happy to do questions on notice while we're waiting for Angela. 411, your responses to the last meeting are there. Now, I just want to skip to the second one, because I also, I talked to yesterday to Director of Works and CEO. I know that's not precisely what I interpreted you were looking for, Councillor Arthur, I'll go to the Director of Works on that, because you're still trying to pull that information together, correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, so I did try and contact Councillor Arthur just to seek clarification, and I hope that understand that I may have misinterpreted the intent of the question. The information that, when I sought this information, I was not at all convinced, nor do I have any confidence in the data that had been provided. One of the things I noticed is that, and I've spoken to the officers, and we will work through this over the next couple of days, but there seems to be a misunderstanding with the way that meters have been read. So when we have a water meter, some of those water meters will tick over past their point return to zero, and then read a negative reading on the meter. Now, if that hasn't been noted by the officer and they've just gone and taken that information and added it into SWIMS, which is our statewide water information management system, it just reads like a spreadsheet. So it's minusing. If you put in a minus, it's got to minus that total off. So until we actually go through and correct that information that's been put in, I've taken a snap of the most recent data that didn't appear to be corrupted, and I've estimated what that use would be based on the availability of the average daily kilolitre read-up meters taken from the last quarter. Sorry, it's really verbose, but I'm trying to explain in the best way that I can. I guess to summarise, we really need to revisit the information that's been put in and sharpen some of those figures up, I believe.
Councillor Arthur, would I be right in saying that what you were after was how much water did we use from the town bores cumulatively from 1 July to 30 June?
Well, basically, Mr. Mayor, plus I just dawned on me, another question dawned on me. The allocation here, is it financial calendar?
So it's a good question, and it's one that I'm also chasing up. Our reporting window, it goes through SWIMS, I believe is from the end of August each month. But I'm not sure if we report to that date or if we report retrospectively for the financial year preceding.
Seems to be financial year. You've got to clarify.
That would make the most sense, but...
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I had a thought this morning that, whether because if it's calendar years, it doesn't line up with our rating, our budget, and then doesn't line up with rates or when we read, so it could be...
It's financial year.
Right. Yeah, but basically I just want to know in bulk.
What we had used.
Yeah, like are we sailing close to the wind? Are we well over? Are we well under? Yeah.
Yeah, and
at the moment there's some alarms that we don't.
Yeah. What's being published there is if we use the same amount of water we use per day for the next 3 quarters, we'll be over.
Yeah.
That's not a retrospective look.
Yeah. No, that's
correct.
Correct, that is correct, and look, as I said, availability of officers to provide that information, we need to correct some data, we should be able to do it early next week, and I can certainly circulate that well before the next council meeting if you were happy with that, Mr. Mayor.
But through you, Mr. Mayor, it's not metered out of the actual board.
Yes.
So there's...
No?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, there's 2 parts to this. The information that is taken from here is from the board.
The board.
From each of the boards, this is a cumulative total. So what I've done is I've combined, for example, with Barcaldine, I've taken Pomona and Acacia and come up with that total, and likewise for other water schemes as well.
Yeah, there's a major difference between what's metered at the bore and what's actually called at every other meter in town put together.
Yeah.
We have to report that differential annually.
Called leakage.
Yeah, it's water loss, we've got to find where it is.
So with respect to our town usage, is it what comes out of the bore or what gets used through the personal meters?
Not out of the ball.
Right.
The department ultimately says you're allowed to take 1,360 megalitres from there.
From that bore?
Yeah, they want to know what leakage there is,
Yeah,
but this is
that's the
the
thing.
pathetic bit.
It's not the cumulative of the personal or
I wish.
individual water meters.
We wish.
Yeah.
Councillor Peters, you were about to speak.
Oh, just for an update for Chris, going back before you come on board, Chris, we had talked about these allocations being that old.
Yeah.
That, we were looking to maybe seeing if we could shift them up a bit too, so.
Right, any other comments, questions on notice? Just wanted to point out, the last box the officers got there with respect to the service, it may be now timely to cost changing to skip bins for the showgrounds, so that could be beneficial in terms of having less bin collection day. Right, question on notice that normally left till the end, but we're in that section, so we'll do that and then go back to Angela's report. Councillor Rogers, do you have any at this stage? Councillor Plum?
Shane, did I have a question for notice today about the Barclay Road release?
I didn't know in, I got the Councillor Plum, the question was about Sanguinas, some sort of recognition, whether we have a parade, volunteer recognition week, which is coming. Probably best if you speak to it.
Yeah. I just thought it would be nice if the Dartmoor Regional Council did something as a ticket parade or some event in appreciation of what the Sanguinas have done for the community in the last 12 months. We would have done it for the Brumbies if they had it well.
Councillor Plum, we're going to really be out of order. Yeah, Councillor.
But yeah, I just think that.
Well, I think, council's ability to recognise, well, which we did this morning, we formally recognised and we'll congratulate them. There's certainly a lot of options open for more formal recognition through, say, the Australia Day award process, which just takes 2 community members to acknowledge them as the community event of the year or there's options there, multiple options. I think how you could make a parade happen.
How do they make it when the people come back to Brisbane and they give them the key to the city? Who does that?
What's possible to do when you have a key to the city like the Lord Mayor of Brisbane does. We don't have a key to the city of Barcaldine.
We could make one.
Sorry?
We could make one. It's something like that. I think they should be recognised for what they've done.
I'd be happy for you, Councillor Plum, to put a proposal to the next meeting for what would be appropriate.
I shall go back and talk to them.
Councillor Arthur?
No, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Hanson?
No, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Gleeson?
No, Mr Mayor.
Really staring at your diary, I thought you must have 4 pages of questions, but anyway, well played.
No, I've had a few this morning, but most of them have all been answered during the day, thank you.
Your officers have done well. Councillor Peoples?
Mr Mayor, I sort of spoke to the CEO earlier about this today, that at some stage we might go for a look at some of those roads over there when he gets his feet under the table a bit more and go for a drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I have no questions on notice. Does that mean we don't have one?
Okay with that.
Good. If I could please go back to the agenda.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, I just need a mover and seconder for accepting the report.
Yep. Councillor Plum moved, Councillor Peoples second. Those in favour? 7-0. Right, can I have somebody please move Angela's report 3-10-1? Thank you, Councillor Peoples. Second, Councillor Plum. Those in favour? Carried, 7-0. Thank you, Angela.
Mr Mayor, we're going to present some of our Australia Day awards at the Get Gardening Competition Expo in Mottoborough on Saturday the 10th of September. It'd be great if councils could come along to that event as well. It's a good community event. We'll also be presenting Kim Ford's at the Jericho Bush Bash on Saturday the 27th of August. Just want to put a special mention out to all the community groups and residents and businesses and accommodation houses for the Bush Council's convention. It was a big week and there was lots of different community groups, residents and accommodation included. And it may have already been mentioned today, but I'm really proud of the Buckleton Town crew on all the work that they put in during that week as well. They put up marquees, shut roads, and really appreciate the residents' understanding with the road closures and the showground closure as well.
What was also mentioned along with that, how impressed and happy we were with the town crew and with the workforce at large was your individual efforts in that respect and the way you went over and above to make the event a resounding success. And to that end, I have a letter that I'll circulate to everybody, but read now very quickly to you. From Alison Smith, CEO of LGAQ, that we have and continue to receive wonderful feedback about delegates' experience. The genuine warm welcome and hospitality shown from you and your team made the event incredibly special to all. I'm glad I waited till I had a chance to debrief the team as well as read all of the feedback forms before writing to you. I can now send my thanks in relation to a range of elements, including the hospitality, the food, the great teamwork of your staff, with a big shout out in particular to Angela and Shane. The venues, there was highly positive feedback about the Rec Park sunset drinks, the showgrounds under the stars dinner. I don't know why people were positive of that because I froze to death, but anyway. And the trivia night at the Globe, through no fault of yours. The one thing you can't control is the temperature. And the diversity of experiences that were delivered and the relevancy of the topics on the agenda, with special mention of the youth leaders and how well they both spoke. So there's some other stuff, but well done. You did an exceptional job, and our council has been presented well in the light of our fellow councils as a direct result of your very hard work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Well done.
And I also just wanted to mention the Career Expo in Longreach was very well received, and we had Rose Marshall and Debbie Young and Councillor Rogers there on the day on the stand, and we've received received really good feedback. I think it was a great opportunity to show employment opportunities out in the region. So the Alpha, Buckleton and Longreach schools attended that.
Okay. Very good. Any questions for Angela? We've got some diary things to go into as soon as we shut the meeting, so Angela's waiting for that. Questions?
No, just me.
Very good. Okay, just before we close the meeting, I believe that Brett has notified councillors on Friday about his impending departure from Buckleton Regional Council. Bring in the money. I could not have found a better. I'll tell you what, there's a mood break. Well done, Paul. Well, yes, we are online, but anyway, all in all, in very serious. Brett has been with this organisation with our community at large as a council operative from the beginning, and has contributed immensely to our council in that time, and each of our communities has brought a lifetime of experiences, but also has received a lifetime of learning in that time with us. So on behalf of those in this room, but more importantly, those who've served before and the people that you have served as a public servant for this council, thank you, Brett. And we all collectively and they wish you the very best for whatever the next stage in your life is. And I'm sure that this won't be the last conversation any of us have, and you've still got a number of weeks with us, but this will be the last general meeting at this stage that you'll be at, and failing us all having to come together for some unforeseen reason. So, yeah, thank you. It's difficult to put into words, but to simply say thank you, because what you have done, the hours that you've put in, the miles that you've driven, the community events that you've travelled to, the photographs that you've taken, the reports you've read and written, is the volume of work that you have done in that time is nothing short of staggering. And your ability, both as an executive manager in the early days and then chief financial officer, deputy CEO, acting CEO for a long period of time, has exposed you to people right across our organisation, not just in the Buckle community. And they, along with our community members, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Thank you, Brett. We'll close the meeting at 4:05 p.m. Thank you.